Welcome to Flourish, the podcast for faith-driven mompreneurs who are ready to release overwhelm, create sustainable, healthy habits, and build purpose-driven businesses aligned with their faith, family, and vision. I'm Stephanie Book, a transformational mindset, wellness, and business coach. I'm here to equip you with the tools, mindset shifts, and encouragement to help you flourish. If you're ready to grow a thriving life and business while staying aligned with your faith, purpose, and priorities, you're in the right place. You are worthy and capable of living a full and flourishing life. Success isn't just possible, it's meant for you. Let's dive in. Hey friends, and welcome to the podcast. I didn't say Flourish in Health because this week I'm trying out a new name. I have been really praying a lot about how I want this podcast to go, how I want to move forward, and I have been thinking about different names and the ways that I want to share my life with you, share these tips with you. And so I'm working on the name. And so I think for now, we're going to Hey there, and welcome to the Flourish podcast. Yep, just Flourish. I have decided to move my podcast just to one name because I want to make sure that my podcast is being seen for all the people that want to hear from me, not just flourishing in health, though health is a big part of who I am and really the foundation of what started a lot of this podcast. But I want to make sure that I am reaching the masses, so to speak. And so I decided to change my name to Flourish. I have debated between Flourish or Flourishing by Design. So if you like one better than the other, let me know. I'd love to know what you think. But really, my purpose is guiding faith-driven mompreneurs to release overwhelm and master habits to flourish in life and business. And so that's kind of the overall arching, which is really pretty much what I've been talking about. I'm going to add a little bit more business in there as well, but I am excited to be able to have this new focus a little bit of my podcast. I started Flourish in Health back, it was like June of it's been more than a year. So June of 2023. So it's crazy that it's been that long. This is episode 92. So it's insane that I've done almost 100 episodes. So I'll have to think of something really fun for the 100th episode. But I wanted to take a few minutes just to let you know this is kind of the path that I'm going, and really it's not much different than what I've done before, but I might add a little bit more business tips in there because I've found that I really am enjoying stepping into helping other people really grow their business, their entrepreneurial journey, like being able to know how to put branding things together. So I won't necessarily, this podcast will mostly be around that mindset, the wellness, and then a little bit of business. And then my Flourish TV on Tuesdays will be business with a little bit of mindset, but they're all really guide together to help faith-driven mompreneurs really to build a life, to flourish in a life that they want, that I know that they're worthy and capable of. And I've been starting to say, success isn't just possible, it's meant for you. And I really mean that in all areas of your life. And so I wanted just to let you know a little quick, you might see a couple little changes, and that's because I'm still trying to figure it all out. But for now, it's just going to be the Flourish podcast, and I hope that you will continue to join me each week and pass this on to anyone you think might be interested in those areas because we get to grow together. Now, if you're not a mompreneur, you can still learn from me. I'm not changing that much, but I like to be able to have a focus at least to say, hey, I am a mom, my kids are older, but that's what I know. And so that's who I would love to help the most because it's where I have been and where I've grown from. And I'm still a mom. I just have a different role in their lives now as they're older. So I just wanted to give you that little bit of introduction as we're stepping in this week. And we will jump into the rest of the episode, and I hope that you enjoy it. So we'll first talk about the power of a morning and evening routine for productivity. Okay, this is, again, nothing new. And sometimes I feel like a broken record, but not everybody hears every episode. And I think it's important when we get those foundations down. That is what really helps us in all of our areas. And so a morning and an evening routine are important. And in my Flourish Foundations experience that I've been working on, I'm going to go in a lot more depth and detail. And when you join that 8-week experience, we'll be able to actually walk through, and I will help guide you through that morning routine and an evening routine and getting one that's created just for you. But I want to give you some of those tips today as we're stepping into that. What are those different things that you can do to help yourself prepare for the day ahead by starting in the evening with a routine and in the morning? So some of those different things that we want to work toward, an eating routine is it's kind of nice to be able to start your evening, like finishing off your day with the three most important things that you might want to do the next day. So looking at, these are the three most important things that you want to start your day, you want to accomplish the next day. Taking a few moments to quiet your heart and write down things that you're grateful for. I like to do this in the morning, but the more that I begin to practice this in the evening, thanking the Lord for the things that happened for the day, it really is an awesome way to be able to think of those things before you go to sleep, and allows you just to be in that heart of gratitude and allows you to sleep better. We want to make sure that we have the things set up for our day the next day. So, if you are getting up to going to work, you want to make sure things are aligned for you in the morning so that you're set up for success. We do that in the evening, right? If you need to make a lunch, maybe you have most of it set up and ready to go, or maybe it's already prepared for you and you just need to grab it. If you want to do a workout before you leave for the day, you have your workout clothes right next to your bed with the shoes, everything is ready to go, right? When you have that ready. I know that for me, when a lot of the mornings I don't need to get up and go really fast. I usually have my workout stuff ready to go. But then, if I'm leaving the house, like on a Sunday morning to go serve at church, I will make sure I have my outfit picked out because I know that will cause me stress in the morning if I don't have that already ready, because maybe if I wake up a little bit later or something doesn't quite go right, which happens in the mornings sometimes, right? We have all of those things taken care of ahead of time, just so taking a few moments to do some of those things are really helpful to have you walk into the next day if you're preparing the night before. And none of these things take very long or a lot of thought. So some of those things might take a little bit more of learning or habits to be built, like talking about something, writing down the things that you want to start or make sure you do the next day. It kind of releases it off your mind and allows you to okay, I don't need to worry about it anymore. It's like instead of your mind thinking about it, all the things you need to do the next day, you could just write that brain dump and let it go and know those three important things that you're going to do for the day. Or maybe you write down the brain dump, everything that's on your heart or your mind at the end of your work day before you're settling down for the evening, write all those things down. And then the next morning you can choose your three. I don't care which way you want to do it, but release all those thoughts from your brain, maybe journal things down, and then be grateful. Write down three things you're grateful for, and spend time just reflecting on those or writing about those or sharing that with your spouse or with your kids at dinner. But what is something you can be grateful for the day? Three things. It's not that much, and if it was a rough day, maybe you're thankful that you got through the day. Maybe you're thankful that you had coffee that morning, and then maybe you're thankful that you spilled your coffee but you didn't ruin your shoes. I don't really care. But what are those things you can be grateful for? And then if you can find a way to pause and just breathe, maybe do a little bit of mindset work, maybe some visualization or some meditation. I have talked about this before, using the Think Up app, where you can actually speak over your own affirmations or things that you want to speak over yourself. Last week we talked about speaking, reframing those lies that we're talking over ourselves, and maybe we would be having those positive things that we've written about ourselves and hearing our own voice saying those over and over again in the Think Up app, or using another type of meditation that allows us to quiet our heart. So there's lots of different apps and different ways that you can do that. The Pause app is one that I've talked about here before, and allows you just to kind of align your life with who the Lord says you are, and kind of thanking Him through the day and moving you into a good night's sleep. And then making sure that you carve out the right amount of time for sleep. That's important too. So those are tons of different things. I talked about, a random things that you could do, but those all make a difference. You're setting up your evening, you have a routine, and we didn't talk specifically this, then this, then this, then this, but what are those specific things that are going to help you start your day off well the next day? And then the morning routine, okay, then you have your own routine of the things you want to do. I talked about how you have your clothes ready for your workout. I know that if my clothes are ready and I put those things on first thing when I get up, I am more apt to actually go and do the workout than I am if I'm I'll just put on my cozy sweats and my sweatshirt and be cozy and nice, and then a lot of times it won't happen, or I'll let things go by because I spent too much time being cozy and warm. And it's okay to do that sometimes, but if you have a certain amount of time and you have that scheduled, you put those clothes on right away. Make sure that you are drinking water. That's a very big habit that I think is so important. Before I fill up my anything else in my cup, it's always a glass of water. I drink that. Your body is really dehydrated over the evening and while you're sleeping, and so you want to restore that, and it allows your body to crave that through the day, and it has a lot of health benefits. It helps your mindset and everything. It helps you think clearer. So start off with water. Make sure that you're eating something that is a healthy, balanced breakfast, not some cereal, just a quick down or a muffin or something like that, but what is something that can give you a good balance of protein and things like that. And then making sure that you are stepping into the day. If you did the brain dump the night before, what are those 3 to 5? I wouldn't do any more than that, any more than 5. The most important things that you need to do for the day. When those are done, those are the things that are weighing the most on your heart and your mind. Those are done, and anything else you get done is a bonus. Spend some time in visualization. If you don't do this at night, definitely do this in the morning. Spend, even if it's just a couple minutes, looking over your day, visualizing how your day is going to look, speaking over those positive ways that the way the day is going to go through. Spend some time in meditation and prayer, inviting the Lord into your day. Sometimes I will try to do this before I get out of bed. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. And just inviting him right into the day and say, I want to serve you. Help me love you the best that I can. Help me know who to serve and who to love, and just help me be in tune with who you want me to be today. Simple prayer like that. And then spend some time in his word, reading, even if it's a quick devotional, spending even a couple minutes. We all have a few minutes. We scroll way more than we need to on our devices, and maybe not even touch that phone for the first half hour or so, and just step into our day with a clear mind and a heart and openness for what God has for us. And so these are a lot of things that I've talked about before, and I know there's probably some episodes that I've gone in a little more detail, but this is important to be able to have that foundation, because when you start off your day in a way that's, it's settled because so many things were planned the night before, and then you step into the morning routine, it moves through a lot more efficiently, and you're stepping into the things that are important to you. If you have a specific goal or something you're reaching toward, when you have these routines in place, it helps you get there faster, right? And those distractions are moving away. And we're not always going to be perfect. We might not always get all of these things done. Might not have time for your workout, or you woke up late, or something happened. Life happens, and we don't want to beat ourselves up. We don't want to speak those negative thoughts over us. I'm not good enough. I'll never get this. No, we're going to focus on what we can control. And one of the things we can do to control is having ourselves prepared for those things ahead of time. So another thing that I would love to talk about today is balancing your time management, your business, and your family and self-care. Now, balance is a hard word. I don't always love the word balance, because I don't think you can't focus on two things exactly at the same time. Our brains don't really work like that very well. So we kind of like shift what we focus on, right? They even talk about that with multitasking, how you're not really multitasking, you're kind of shift tasking. Sometimes, yes, I can listen to a podcast and probably fold my laundry and listen mostly to the podcast and not really pay that much attention to laundry, but you're still shifting. Your mindset is still shifting a little bit between folding those socks and listening to something. So how can you balance the different things that you need to do? But first of all, I think part of it comes from the priorities, like what's important to you. So we put things, I talk about all the time, you put things on your calendar that are important to you, even if it's self-care, spending that time, making the time for that workout in the morning or the evening or the afternoon, wherever you're putting that in, because it's good for you. It helps you. It motivates you to go closer to your goals. You know that it makes you feel better. It gives you the energy. It makes your mind clearer. So making the time to move your body in some way. If you're with your kids all day and you don't know when you're going to do it, have them join you. do a marching song and do some dancing around the house that gets your heart rate up. I don't care what it is. When it's nicer, take them for a walk and you're getting exercise too. Making sure that you're fueling your body well. Like I said, starting with your water, making sure you're eating a balanced breakfast and you're eating throughout the day. You're not waiting till 2 p.m. to eat your first bite, because this is better for you. So like our self-care is as important as those business tasks. If you're working for someone else, you have those set hours where you're going in, you clock out, right? But when you're doing your own business, we want to have that balance, being able to say, this is the time that I'm working, this is the time for my family, and this is the time for the self-care. Now they're going to intermix sometimes and they will change at times, but the time for your self-care, the time with your family is just important as the time with your business. Now, sometimes your business needs more space, right? Maybe you're doing something, you're launching something big. Maybe you are you have a big project that you're working on for your job that you go to, or your own goals that you have. And so sometimes, you have that openness and you say to your family, hey, I am excited to be able to do these things with you, but I have these big goals that I'm going to work on. So I'm going to focus on this time. That was my button. Focus on this specific project for now, but I will give you this time, and that will be a focused time. And when you're with your family, then that is family time. We're not trying to balance those work things and your family time. You will be so much more productive if you actually take that time and step away from the projects and focus on the other task, whether it's I hate to say task with your family, but it's important to make sure that your family time with your kids know that you are present and fully present with them. There might be a million things that you need to do, but a half hour of focused attention with them is way better than 2 hours of back and forth, right? So making sure that we look at those priorities are, and we put those as big rocks in our schedule. So we think, just like if you had a doctor's appointment, and I've said this before, you have a doctor's appointment at 10 a.m., you're going to show up at the doctor's appointment at 10 a.m. That's no different than you have a 10 a.m. appointment to spend time in prayer and Bible study, because it's going to help renew your mind and bring you closer to God. Or you have that 1 o'clock, it's walk after lunch with your kids or to the park, and that 1 o'clock is an appointment. It's okay. If there's other things that are pulling you away, that's what's important, because that's on your schedule. I know sometimes there are emergencies and things that change that, but that's how you find that balance, or find that way, because those things that you need to do for yourself or with your family are just as important as the work things. But know that there'll be seasons where your family will need a lot more. Maybe your kid gets sick. You're going to do your best, but it might not be balanced on that day, right? You might have to give a lot more to your kids because they're sick, but then you'll find those pockets of time to be able to do things for your business. And maybe it's okay. I say this mostly as an entrepreneur, someone that might work for themselves or work at home. I know you have your own things that go on. If you're working for someone else out and about, you work those things out. But the best way that we can care for those around us and have that work-life balance is being able to make those appointments and sticking to them, because those are the priorities. You put those big priorities in first, and then the little things can follow in around there. I hope that makes sense. But I think that I have learned over time, right now, I don't have many things pulling me directions, but I do help care for my mom and help with other areas. And so sometimes those things will take time. And so I try to make plans and doctor's appointments and things around other things that I'm doing, but sometimes it has to change, and that's okay. Give ourselves some grace and just show up the best that we can. As a mompreneur, having systems in place as a mompreneur, I think that's really important. When we know what we want to accomplish, if we've used that evening and morning routine, we know what those big 3 or 5 that we're going to do. We're focusing on that. It kind of almost gives us like that freedom as a mompreneur to have those systems. These are the things that I do in place, and learning what's going to work best. Like if your kids are real little, you know the times that they need you and times that they don't. It's okay to be like, okay, we're going to have some time of quiet time, even if they're little, say, okay, this is the time that you get to play on your own, you get to play pretend, and here are your toys, and you're going to do this, and mommy's going to go and do this. It takes some practice. It might take some learning, but eventually they'll learn how to, keep themselves busy so that you can do other things. I'm not saying neglect them, but teach them to be innovative with their time, So I know when your kids are real little, that's not as easy to do. And there's days where they just need your attention. And sometimes it's okay. Sometimes you need to put off that project because they need your space there. And you might feel like you're never getting anything done, but sometimes when you just focus on them and help take care of them, then you might have some little time later when you're not so burned out. Because I think often, especially as moms, we worry so much about other things that we need to do. But if we just focus on what's at hand, what we can control, and worry about the things that we can't control, like we make some space for the things that need to get done later. It sounds like I'm not giving you any advice, I feel like, but it does make a difference. Just focus on what is at hand at the time. And even though those days don't happen the way that you want them to go, it's okay. Just give yourself some grace and know, the evening will come and maybe you can have some time to work on that, and say, let your spouse know, say, hey, today was a really rough day and I didn't work on anything that I planned to do. Is it okay if I take a couple hours here and we can change our date night or whatever? You don't always want to do that either, but you make those choices. You focus on what you can control, and then the rest of it will come together. Building the systems in place, making sure that you're looking at your week ahead and knowing, like, is there some extra appointments? Maybe there's some different changes that might be affecting your little one. Maybe there's extra games that are coming up this week. Once the kids are in sports, that takes up a lot of your time if you're doing that and other activities. So taking a look at the week and being like, okay, today we're going to be focused a lot on this, but this day mom's going to be working a lot on these things. And maybe arrange swap play dates with other moms so that you can have, hey, I want a couple hours to work on this project. Would you take my kids today and I'll take your kids another day? There's so many different things you can do. I feel like this is a whole topic on its own, but if you can find that you can simplify the things that you're doing. I think a lot of times by just carving out specific time and focusing on what's most important at the time, and then teaching your kids that this is the routine. We do this, and then this next part is your time to be on your own, and mom's going to do this. It doesn't mean that you're not present and you're not around, but you can guide and teach them and say, this is our systems. When you get into school, it's structured. So your kids can learn that structure very, very young, that this is the time for this and this is the time for that. And I think when we're focused, we give that focus time to them when it's their time. And then when we are saying, okay, we spent this time, now you get to do this by yourself and mom's going to do this. And you'll be amazed at how that can really bring a lot more peace and more just simplify your days a little bit more. The other thing I was thinking about is how to plan your week for success is making time to plan. I think I have noticed that I have been a little bit out of routine of my planning, and I really I need to get back to that. So when you get into a busy season, sometimes you can, just like you can step into like old limiting beliefs, like old habits that are on your heart and your mind, like things that creep in. Sometimes old habits happen with your schedules as well. So reminding yourself to step in and plan for the week. You would not believe how much difference the week is when you take the time to plan your meals or prep your meals, even better, right? So if you know what you're going to make for the week, and then have a couple days in there where you have some second choices just in case, because we have those days where things do not work out as planned. We want to spend the less time we can running through the drive-through. That's never great for anybody. Usually you're waiting the drive-through a long time, you're spending way more money than you want to spend, you're eating things that aren't really serving your goals or really filling you up, and it's so much easier if you have a plan in place. So looking at taking a day. If it's not Sunday afternoon, maybe it's a Friday. If you're at a regular job or you're working Monday to Friday, maybe before you even leave the office, take that Friday afternoon before you leave and be like, I'm going to plan out my next week. You know, what's coming on the calendar for the work week and what's coming on in personal life, and then starting planning that out, using time blocking as a way to look at your schedule overall and know you have this block of time and this block of time for these specific areas. Looking at the appointments that are coming ahead. You know, if you have an appointment at 3:30 in the afternoon or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, you pick up your kids and you have an appointment, that's probably not the best day to do something in the oven and bake, because you might have something else at 6:30 you need to do, right? So what are some different meals that you can plan around that? Look at your schedule and just look ahead. Just take that peek ahead and know what's coming up, and then start planning accordingly. Putting those rocks in the schedule first. Those most important things, they go every single week, they go down first. What's the most important things that are non-negotiables in your week? Those go down first. Then you can start adding in the little other parts that need to get done. You know, what are the non-negotiables, that family time, the things that are connected fully to who you are, who God wants you to be, your why. Those things go first. Then those appointments and other things get put in there. And then the extra things can get put in as well. And then looking at that week and deciding a meal plan that's going to fit your schedule. Believe me, the meal planning makes a difference. And then if you're even better, if you know what you're going to make, you can prep a lot of things ahead, because that helps you too. You know, maybe if there's rice in a couple of your meals, maybe you make a big thing of rice on Sunday while you're planning, and then, you know, it's already ready to go and you just need to reheat that. Or maybe there's veggies you can cut up, or a bunch of chicken that you can cook. I don't know, like whatever your plans are for the week. But the more you can prep ahead, it makes a difference, because I know over the last several weeks, it's been off a little bit for me, and I was sick all last week, so nothing was really planned. And fortunately, my husband stepped in and helped a little bit getting some other meals to put together. But I know that it's more freeing when I have at least something to go to, and then a couple backups, because I don't know about you, but sometimes I just don't want what I planned a week ahead. And that's okay too. Give yourself some grace, but that will help. If you need some help with meal planning, I do have my free recipe planning, recipe storage and planning board, Trello board. Put Trello in the comments, or send me a message on Instagram at steph.book, and I will send you that link. I actually have a whole video I did on my Flourish TV that talked about your weekly meal planning and recipe storage. I show you how to use the Trello board. If you don't even know what Trello is, it's free and you can use it. And it has been a game changer for me to be able to know where to go to for recipes and get that scheduled. And then I actually use Trello board for a lot of other things. I have my paper calendar. I don't have it in my office right now, but I have a paper calendar that I use. You know, you have a Google calendar, and I kind of morph those to use those. So my daily calendar uses a lot of my top 3. I put my gratitude in there, and I put, you know, what I kind of my to-do list and things like that are on for the day. But then the Google Calendar I use, and that kind of is for our family. So I know my husband knows when I have a call or a meeting or an appointment, and the same for him. And so we kind of use that overall as our family calendar. But then I have a spot where I can write those things down that are coming to my mind and to my heart. And then big projects and things like that, I plan in Trello. So there's lots of ways that you can plan. And this episode isn't just about planning our days, but having a routine, having a schedule put in place will help you feel less overwhelmed. So I know I talked about a lot of different things today, and I hope I gave some tips that maybe help you along the way. A few things that maybe help you look at your schedule a little bit differently, approach your days a little bit differently, knowing that morning and evening routine, having alignment in where you're going to what needs to be done throughout the week. I know that there's been so many different things where we walk through life and things just seem out of whack or out of balance. And so hopefully some of the tips that I talked about today about managing the different aspects of your day, you know, business or your work or whatever it is that you're doing, to bring in income or something separate, something that's important to you, and then your family, and then your self-care, and how all of those are important, and we need to make time for that. And then just finding some systems in place so that you have those routines put together so you can focus on what you can control, and then give yourself grace as you focus on that one thing. And you'll find that the more that you have that focused attention, the more you actually get done. And I know it doesn't seem like it. If I just spent 2 hours with my children and now I have all this other stuff to do, but guess what? When you have that time just with them, and then you have that centered focus on the next thing that you want to do, it just comes back easier because their cups are filled and you are ready for that next step for yourself. So I hope that was helpful today. I hope that you like the name Flourish for the podcast. I think I've been praying a lot about that, and I think just that one word, Flourish, just fits better for the podcast. So and make sure that you put Trello in the comments if you want that Trello board, and make sure you jump into the Flourish TVs every week on Tuesdays on Facebook, or you can catch the recordings on YouTube under Flourish TV. I thank you so much for listening. As always, please just pass this on to anyone you think it would encourage, and like and subscribe so that you can make sure that you are with us every week. My friends, you are worthy and capable of amazing things. Remember, success isn't just possible, it's meant for you. Take care. Thank you for joining me on Flourish. I hope today's episode left you feeling inspired and equipped to take your next step with confidence. If you enjoyed this episode, I'd love for you to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a friend who needs this encouragement. Be sure to connect with me on Instagram at steph.book and join our Facebook community of faith-driven women who are ready to flourish. Make sure to check out the show notes for all the ways we can connect and continue this journey of growth together. My friends, remember, you are worthy and capable of living a full and flourishing life. Success isn't just possible, it's meant for you. Take care.